Baseball family, welcome to this week's episode where we're going to talk Trevor Bauer, All-Star Game caps, and this month's Panic or Patience right now.
9+ Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Baseball family, welcome to this week's episode of the Baseball Together family. Usually I get it right the first time. This time it's the third. So welcome. Here we are, and I'm Brig.
Third time's a charm.
I am not at home, and that is probably part of the mojo going on here. Brad is at home and seems to be doing very well. How are you, Brad?
I am doing very well, despite the heat. I'm gonna complain about the heat every single week until it is gone, because it's ridiculous. We don't usually have the humidity to go with it, but we do right now. Pretty miserable. And it's all relative, right? Because we're used to less than 10% humidity typically, I believe is what it is. But right now it's like around 25 and 30, between 25 and 30.
It's a lot for you.
I might as well be sitting in a sauna all day, every day. And I'm not.
Baseball family, I live in the sauna. So I don't, it's a 98 degrees here right now. It's probably a gazillion percent humidity. I'm quite happy. Actually, Brad's not. That's not his speed, but sure is mine.
Well, it was like 110 today.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a whole lot.
Anyway, baseball family, we have a couple of pieces of information that we want to share with you. First, the first thing is we have merch again. It's hosted by millions.co. You can hit the link in the description, or you can go straight there using the link millions.co. We have a few shirts and some stickers. That's a great way to support the show. And we're going to be dropping stuff periodically throughout the year. So stay tuned. If you want another way to support the show, that's a great way to do it. Couple of housekeeping items before we jump into this week's topic list. First things first, the Larry Doby book, Larry Doby in Black and White by Jerry Eisenberg. We have our giveaway winner. And that winner is Dakota Wilson. Dakota Wilson, you have won a copy of Larry Doby in Black and White by Jerry Eisenberg. The legend. Hopefully you enjoyed the interview.
Legend.
Hopefully you enjoyed the interview as much as we did. And we will be reaching out to you to get your information and send you your copy. So congratulations.
Huzzah.
All right.
Congratulations.
Now, we have one other adjustment we're going to make to the show, kind of a profile adjustment, I guess. Format maybe is a better word for it. But we are doing a lot more interviews lately. And we have decided that not only is that exciting, but it also should come extra, right? It shouldn't get in the way of
not
all
only
the other
that,
things we're doing.
You shouldn't have to wait forever for them, because our content schedule has become so loaded over the next, I'm going to say over the next year, Brig. Like, we have content planned out for the next year, and some of it's flexible, some of it isn't, because it has to do with the schedule and things like that. So we decided, rather than making you wait till like November, December, or January for some of these awesome interviews, we're going to drop them on Fridays.
Yep.
So during the season, we will have these interviews dropping Friday mornings.
Yep.
Just on YouTube. We'll have them drop on the podcast feed as well, the RSS feed, so you can listen to them on your regular podcast app. And Brig, a bonus, if you're a rooter with Patreon, then you can get in there and you can listen to the full conversation. Because I've said this before, and I will continue to say it, we get some real nuggets after the conversation, where sometimes we'll ask questions that we aren't really sure they're necessarily comfortable with answering on the air. We get really great answers. And so,
to be fair, we find out that they are comfortable before we put them on there. But once they give the green light, then you get them. Yeah. And only if you're a rooter. So the best way to become a rooter is to join us on Patreon. So you can go to patreon.com, search Baseball Together, and there are 5 tiers of support. Everybody who supports at any level of support, $1, $5, $10, $15, and $500 of support, all the way up, you get the bullpen cut. That's the unedited version of the show. It is not safe for kids, but it is safe for the adult population, and it is where all the other nuggets are.
Yes, exactly right.
So I think it's important to point that out. We do what we think is a very good job of making the show kid-friendly, family-friendly. That's an express purpose of ours. We want our kids to be able to listen to this just like yours. We hope if you're a kid, you're listening to it and loving it as much as we are. Good for you. But if you are a patron in the bullpen cut, then that's where we get the shenanigans out. So, all right. Let's talk the Blue Jays. And not only are the Blue Jays basement dwellers, but it sort of is getting worse every time we turn around. And I think as we approach the deadline, we're going to have some people coming out of Toronto. But it probably won't be Orelvis Martinez, who just got popped for a PED suspension. 80 games, testing positive for clomiphene.
Trade name Clomid.
Trade name Clomid. Brad would know that.
Dude, it was so in a pharmacy
background.
in a pharmacy, you have like your fast mover section, like the ones that you fill all the time.
Yeah.
And at the pharmacy I worked at the university, that was one of our fast movers because we would fill all the time because there was a fertility clinic in the hospital, and so we would fill Clomid a lot. And I mean a lot, Brig.
Interesting. Okay. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, Martinez or Elvis Martinez probably isn't using it for fertility purposes. Though
he said he was. He said he was.
Know.
We have the statement on there if you want to read it.
I'll read the statement. He released a statement, said, "For the past 2 years, I've been trying to start a family with my girlfriend. During the off season, we visited a fertility clinic in the Dominican Republic. And after getting lab work done, we were prescribed a treatment which included a medication called Rayjune 50. Unfortunately, Rayjune 50 contains a banned substance called clomiphene. We wanted to keep this matter private, even within our family, and trusted the doctor who assured us this treatment did not include performance-enhancing drugs. Therefore, I made the mistake of not disclosing this to my team or the Players Association. With that said, I took full responsibility for my actions and accepted my suspension. I want to apologize to my teammates in both Buffalo and Toronto, the Blue Jays organization, and most importantly, the fans who have supported me during my career. I will learn from this experience and come back to the field in September." Well, here's my thought. It's a perfectly crafted response. The cynic in me wants to go, pshaw, come on, dude. But he's right. He's probably right. I'll bet this is a genuine misstep, and I have no reason to discount anything he says. And if this is the case, which I'm going to say it probably is, then the poor guy.
So honestly, 100%, that's how I feel about it. This is a complete accident. And the poor guy, this is the thing. This is the thing though. He didn't follow the steps that he knows he should be taking.
Right. That's the problem.
Right. Is that he asked his doctor, does it have performance enhancing drugs in it? His doctor is going to be like, no, of course not. Right. But you know who knows? It's the question is not, does this have performance enhancing drugs? Is this on the league's banned substances?
That's right.
Because furosemide is not a performance enhancing drug, but it's used as a masking agent. Therefore, it is banned because it's a diuretic. It's going to flush everything out of your system. But so him asking his doctor, is Clomid a performance enhancing drug? His doctor's going to say, no, of course not. What he should have done is said, hey, doc prescribed this to me. Let me talk to my trainer and see what he said. And this is the thing. So I was watching Foul Territory. They were talking about this, and they're saying the trainer, the strength and conditioning coach, the GM, the owner, one of those four guys will give you a call back in under 30 seconds if you have a question.
Yeah.
Especially you can get an answer. Yeah, because there are other things that you can take, that you can use to help with this.
Yeah.
And so it's what it is. And this is the thing too, is like he can't plead ignorance. I think he just I think he's pleading, I didn't do my due diligence.
Yeah.
Right? No malintent, just I messed up, I think is what it is. And he's owning it. Right?
Yeah. Well, and the guy's starting to start a family. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Good for him.
Right. I understand that, but you've got to do your due diligence. So that's the problem. And
it is part of being a professional.
And you know what, though, too? Like, he's not the only guy who's been popped for this over the last, 4 or 5 years.
Right.
It happens. It happens. Yeah. It's either this one or there's, a diuretic, and then, or, furosemide is the other one, because I think that was one of Robbie Cano's. And then the one with Tatis, was completely different.
Or whatever. That's totally different.
Yeah. And I remember I went through and did a whole, TED talk about, he very well could have mixed it up, but the name that is close to this is a corticosteroid, not an anabolic steroid. So but anyway, that was a whole thing. But this is one where it's you just gotta, I hope that other players learn from this and say, you gotta ask before you put anything in your body. You got to ask.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be out 80 games worth of pay, and an opportunity. He could have taken this could have been a massive opportunity for him over the next 3 days, because Bo Bichette's due back on Tuesday.
Yeah,
right?
They called him up
to make his mark. To make his mark with the team and be yeah, absolutely, I belong here. You can't send me back down. Send somebody else back down.
Right. So he made his league debut filling in for Bo Bichette on Friday. He went 1 for 3 with a single in his league debut. That's awesome. Right? He's the number 2 prospect in the Blue Jays system and number 68 overall across Major League Baseball's prospect watch. Bo Bichette is eligible to return from the IL on Tuesday, like you said, but there's no reason he won't return on time, especially now. Right?
They're going to need him to, because they got to, this is where they stand. They're, like you said, basement dwellers in the AL East, so at the bottom, 15.5 games back of the Yankees, but they're only 6.5 back in the wild card.
Right.
Which there's a lot of teams between them and the point that they need to get to the wild card. It's not like they're 6 games back of the third spot and there's nobody there. No. They've got to overcome a lot of teams to get there. But at the same time, 6.5 games is not insurmountable.
It's not insurmountable. Nope. All right, we're going to move on because we have got to talk about Steven Kwan. Steven Kwan, for those of you that don't know, plays for Cleveland's baseball club. His 14-game hitting streak ended on Friday. Okay, 14. During that streak, he had a 500 batting average. Not just a hitting streak, he had a 500 batting average. His OPS was at 1.275, 2 home runs, 5 doubles, 9 RBIs. He only struck out 4 times, Brad, in 14 games.
14 games. I'm pretty sure Jorge Polanco is going to strike out 4 times tonight.
Right. Yeah, and if Big G wasn't hurt, he would also strike out 4 times.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
Big G's leading the MLB's all-time list for golden sombreros, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure he's the dude.
I'm not sure we can give him that title right now, but
he's that dude. How's that?
He's that guy. Yeah.
Not the dude, that dude.
That dude. Yeah. Okay, going into Monday, it's currently Monday evening Eastern Standard Time, about 9 p.m. So going into Monday, he's batting .390 across the season. That leads the American League. Bobby Witt Jr. is coming in second at .311. It's a pretty big difference between .390 and .311, in case you weren't doing the mathsicles there. His on-base percentage, .448, highest in the American League. The highest qualifying is Juan Soto at .431. Brad.
So that's the thing you have to remember, is he's only played in 49 games because he was injured, and Cleveland has now played in 75 games. But still, holy cow. He's played in 2/3 of the games and is putting up these kind of numbers.
Slugging .575, 4th highest in the American League behind Aaron Judge, who leads it at .686, and an OPS of a season OPS now of 1.023, second behind Judge at 1.108.
Because Judge seems like he's reached the point where he's hitting a home run like every other day, which is kind of what you would expect from a dude that big.
Yeah, well, it's not just that big. He's that good, though, right? He
is that good.
He'll miss and he'll go.
Thing.
Yeah. That's what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah, and Aaron Judge leads the league with 28 right now. I think he said I thought I saw he's on pace for 56 this year if he maintains. Doesn't get any better or worse. That's a lot.
It's still so many home runs.
Yeah. So Steven Kwan does not technically qualify for the top few spots in the American League because, like Brad said, he's only played 49 games. That's an important thing to keep in mind. But we're still going to make sure we watch very closely as his season progresses because the tear he's on, obviously he's meteoric right now. He's going to come down, right? He'll level back out. But this 14-game stretch was incredible. Now, but the question is this kind of who he is? Is this an anomalous situation? What sort of expectations can we take from Steven Kwan or about Steven Kwan moving through the rest of the season? What do you think?
This is my thing, is I feel like obviously this is somewhat of an anomaly, right? Because you don't feel like he can maintain 390, but Luis Arias, for how long last year, was flirting 400?
A lot.
Right? So,
yeah.
And I don't know. Okay, we've talked about this a little bit. Trevor May pointed out, like we said, that the in Cleveland, they took off part of the upper deck. The wind flows more freely. But that's not going to affect just regularly getting on base.
Nope.
Cleveland is a different ball club than they were last year offensively across the board.
For sure.
Like, in so many different ways.
Yep.
This might be the Steven Kwan we've been waiting for, because he was the runner-up for Rookie of the Year. And part of that, I feel like Julio did have a crazy second half as a rookie. Started super slow, right? But Steven Kwan was level all year. Good enough to be runner-up?
Yep.
Maybe second runner-up, something like that. I can't remember. Actually, I have it right here. I can find out. He finished third Rookie of the Year 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he hit 298 with a 772 OPS. Last year, he took a step back, but I think last year's step back, his sophomore slump, is what motivated him to become the player, make the changes he needed. Obviously, he's been motivated to become this player, but I think it motivated him to really make the changes that he needed to make to become this guy. We could see Kwan finish top 5 easily in the MVP race if he takes even half a step back from this.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree.
He could be the dude, because he's been Cleveland's MVP, that's for sure. And if Cleveland finishes with top 2, one of the top 2 seeds in the American League,
which is looking like they may.
Yeah,
like it's getting intense. If you're not paying attention to Cleveland baseball right now, then you've got your head.
You need to be. This team is way better than they were last year. They are
crazy.
They're 23 games going into Monday. They're 23 games over 500.
I was just going to say that, and we'll talk about that when we get to Thursday night. We'll talk about that Thursday night, baseball family. We're going to be doing our contenders or pretenders episode for the month. So stay tuned Thursday night. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
9:30 p.m.
9:30 p.m. Sorry, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, and we're going to stream it live on Facebook and YouTube. So be excited. Be excited. Okay, speaking of being excited, this I'm excited to talk about because of all the people whom I have a real soft spot for these days. One of them is Trevor Bauer, and he has set.
Which feels weird to say.
I know. I will own it. I have had somewhat of a change of heart over the last however long, couple of years or whatever. I'm not alone. I'm a convert to the Church of Bauer outage or whatever you want to call it. So Trevor Bauer set another Mexican League record. He struck out 19 batters. That's a single game record in the Mexican League. He allowed only 5 hits, 1 run, and he hung in there for 8 2/3 innings. Could have finished the whole thing, but I don't know why he didn't. After yet
they probably wanted to let him get the standing O, the curtain call for that last.
Yeah, I can see that. After yet another record, people continue to wonder why Trevor Bauer is not playing in Major League Baseball. And the answer seems to be poopy pantsery at face value, but I think beneath the surface, there must be something more insidious going on. These are things we've alluded to repeatedly in the past. We're not the only ones saying it.
Alluded to, Brig. We've straight up said the word collusion.
Yeah, collusion. Yeah, there's collusion, and it's against Bauer. He's being blackballed, and I'm against it. You're right. I don't know why I'm soft shoeing around this. This is BS. Trevor Bauer deserves to play in the major leagues. He deserves to have a contract that is at the value that is paying him what he is worth, and not just the league minimum he to get him in the league. He deserves the respect he plays to earn. I don't get it. I'm so mad. Trying to keep it cool.
It's absurd. The fact that there are pitchers out there who are far beneath him, right?
Yeah.
I went back earlier and watched the Drew Pomerantz clip from a few weeks ago.
Oh.
The fact that the Giants signed Drew Pomerantz and brought him in over Trevor Bauer when you could very easily have brought in Bauer. Just like phone call. Hey, Luba, we need your guy.
Yeah.
Send him on up. So this is the thing, man. And I understand Drew Pomerantz is a reliever, right? I get it. Bauer's a starter, but I think Bauer would take any opportunity at this point. And Drew Pomerantz made $10 million from the Padres last year. I'm sure he's making something similar to that this year. I don't see what he's making this year with the Giants, but
I thought it was half that or something. I can't remember either. Anyway, the point is now Bill James. Bill James is a baseball writer, historian. He's also a statistician. And Bill James on X, formerly, and in my heart, called Twitter. Bill James says, quote, Major League Baseball may now be in a position where, if they don't actively encourage someone to sign Trevor Bauer, they could be setting themselves up to lose a $1 billion lawsuit. That's interesting. That's
a lot of tortillas.
That's a lot of tortillas. Okay. To which Trevor Bauer obviously responded, how could he not come to the table and munch on that sandwich? Mm-hmm. He responded, quote, I'd really prefer not to go this route. But if I continue being kept out of baseball as I currently am, I may have no other choice. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, and I'm allowed to return to my career that was taken from me over provably false allegations that never held any merit to begin with. He has maintained his innocence and fought for his public perception and his professional standing doggedly from the beginning. We, unlike very often, we do not have the benefit of a court of law to push the truth into the open. That's very uncommon. And now here we are in a situation where we have the facts, we have the evidence, we have all of the details, and people are being punished because of the actions they took falsely against Trevor Bauer, fraudulently, right? And they still will not bring the guy back. I don't understand. He says provably false. I say provably a lot more than just false. We've seen it all. I don't see the problem.
Right. Yeah. And it's weird. It's absurd that Major League Baseball is just like, this guy drives us crazy. Let's just keep him out of the game.
Right.
Right. And because I've been saying it for years, Brig. So many years. Major League Baseball has a marketing problem. And it's because they don't want guys who understand marketing like Trevor Bauer in the game spouting off.
Yep.
Like
speaking his truth. So that's the problem.
The NFL plays games on 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Monday, Thursday, Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess you go Thursday, Sunday, Monday. Anyway.
Whatever. Right.
And the NFL has 3 days a week. The NFL has a news cycle 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Because players are spouting off as soon as their game is over, talking about the guy they're matching up with the next week. The NBA has, we'll say 3 to 4 games a week, depending on the schedule.
Yeah.
Right? At least has 6 days a week with the news cycle, depending on the time of year, right? When it's January, February, it's a little bit less because of football, but March, it's a little bit more because there's no football and baseball's in spring training, right? So maybe they have all 7. But guys are spouting off all the time after games, talking about each other like, oh, wait till these teams play each other again. Wait till they see each other in the playoffs. What's it going to be like? Major League Baseball does not have that. I understand Major League Baseball has 7 days of the news cycle because they're playing 7 days a week. Right? You might have 28 games in 30 days. No days off. But you need guys spouting off on social media, in post-game press conferences, in media availability, in daytime interviews, whatever. You need guys spouting off to create storylines for you, because I'm going to be completely honest with you. As much as I love watching pitching matchups, I have a Facebook memory that pops up every single year. Man, Felix versus CC, I wish I could watch the game tonight.
Right?
Yeah. You look forward to that. But you know what I would look forward to more? Is if Felix and CC had a beef.
Oh, yeah.
That game would have been on ESPN, like it should have been anyway.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Let Trevor Bauer back in the league, because he deserves to be. A, because of his ability. B, because he's been proven innocent. And C, because you need somebody creating storylines for you, because you don't know how to do it, apparently, other than the Rick Woodfield game, which I loved. The Field of Dreams game, which I love. The World Tour, which I love. But you need something more than that. Let players create beef with one another to create additional dramatic storylines rather than just nostalgia.
Okay. You hit the nail on the head. You hit my buzzword. The point is stories. You need not Facebook stories or Instagram stories. You need actual storylines. In order to do that, you have to have competing forces. We have that. You need to have a protagonist-antagonist relationship between two parties. Sometimes we have that, but baseball suffers on the antagonism side of things. It's almost like they're trying to squelch
the problem
out
is
villains.
The antagonists you get are the steroid users, the guys who break the personal conduct policy. They're off the field. We want on the field antagonists. That's what baseball needs.
That's what we need.
We have villains. The Astros. The Astros were that for a long time. Continue to be in some circles. And really great for baseball.
So is the Yankees being the evil empire thing. I'm a huge Yankees fan. We are the villain of the story a lot. It's a big deal. But let's be honest, that's 20 years removed now.
I was going to say, it's been so long since the Yankees have won. They're not necessarily the bad guy anymore.
No.
They're not the evil empire anymore.
So here's what I'm saying. I want to take... now I'm on my soapbox, so bear with me. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. But let's compare 1-to-1, okay? Let's just go down this route. We have 2 starting pitchers, okay? One of them, the league loves entirely. Everything about this guy is white bread, American, picture perfect. It is a white picket fence storyline. Now, I understand there are some problems with the description I just used. Okay, get off my back. What I'm trying to say is certain storylines make a lot of sense for marketing within Major League Baseball's comfort zone. And Paul Skeens fits that narrative perfectly. We got a guy who's got a deferred military contract, right? We got a guy who is dating one of the most attractive women in certain circles in the country.
Well, she's an Olympian.
She's an Olympian. Right? She talk about somebody who knows how to market. Livy Dunn knows what she's doing when it comes to marketing herself, right? Paul Skeens has no idea. He doesn't have to. He's dating Livy Dunn. She does it all for him, right?
Yep.
You got a guy who has a weird warm-up routine. Okay, it's weird, right? It's wonky, but for some reason, it's acceptable. Maybe and I don't think it has anything to do with the team he's on being a little bit obscure, because they are pimping that out hard. I don't think it has anything to do with, Anyway, the point is you Travis Trevor Bauer, let's put him on the same scale. Weird warm-up routine, right? Was on a team in obscurity for a while, right? When we first got to know him. Big emotional guy. Paul Skeens, not a big emotional guy, right? Mm-hmm. Trevor Bauer, personal life, not everybody loves. Paul Skeens, everybody loves his personal life. You know what I mean? Like if you compare the two and you walk down each linear foot of the comparison, you have a built-in protagonist, antagonist in the way Major League Baseball views storylines, right? They got a guy that traditional purist Major League Baseball is going to love in Paul Skeens, and you've got a guy that traditional purist Major League Baseball seems to hate in Trevor Bauer. It's like, why is this bad for baseball?
And how big of Kenny Powers vibes would Trevor Bauer give off coming into Major League Baseball with egging on the batters because he knows he can strike them out and all of his antics. And then on top of all that, Trevor Bauer spent the last year in the Mexican League. Like all of it.
Yeah.
Like the biggest Kenny Powers vibes. And people will eat it up.
Alive, dude. And that show, people watch that show like it's
still.
Just
my cousin told me last week I needed to watch it.
I keep hearing about it all the time. People are like, you got to watch that show. You still got to watch that show. I mean, this kind of stuff writes itself if you just get out of the way and let it happen. But they're not getting out of the way.
Baseball. It's not going to get out of the way.
They don't know how to get out of their own way. Yeah. Anyway, I saw as soon as we started talking about this, I was like, oh my gosh, I see there's two things going on here. They're exactly the same on just for different sides of the same coin. It's ridiculous.
Yep. It is ridiculous. It's absurd.
Right. Let's move on. Okay. Sign Trevor Bauer. Get him back in the league. Every reason. Okay. Max Scherzer made his season debut on Sunday. He went 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, 0 runs, 4 Ks, no walks. He threw 57 total pitches. Now, that's economy. That is some mad economy of pitching. I think it's terrific. Yeah. You figure you're going to push that guy. Hopefully, you're going to stretch him out to 6, 7.
You would think by the end of the season he's up to 7 or 8.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to let him get much past 8. They're not going to get him into 8, but 7. They want him to go into 7. So
what's that mean? Does that mean what, like an 85 to 90 pitch count? Is that what they're going to keep him at all season, do you think?
Yeah, 90, I would say. If he goes over 90, it's going to have to be high leverage. There's going to have to be a real reason.
Yeah.
Which he's the guy for, as long as he's healthy, you know?
Oh, yeah. So what about this, though? Like, the Rangers make the postseason. Yeah. Do you move him to the bullpen?
Oh, yeah.
You get a 6-out save out of him easy.
Easy. That's exactly what you use him for. Strong middle relief, high leverage scenarios. Unless something happens.
Yeah. So this is my legit. If I'm moving Mad Max to the bullpen for the postseason, he's my closer. The dude's got a screw loose already.
Yeah.
Like, send him in there, get a 6-out save. You just made yourself a 7-inning ball game.
That's true. Yeah. So the only reason not to do that, you get that deep in the season, the only reason not to do that is if you have other starting pitching problems, right? If there's
which they very well
issue. Yeah. Or if you just do not have a closer. If you don't have anybody who can come in and shut the door.
You got Leclerc, but he hasn't been great this year. So
there's a lot of reasons that could happen. So the key or the question is Mad Max the key for the Rangers to kind of climb back into that spot they feel like they belong in, that get them out of this World Series hangover that they're having? Does he make them competitive in the West?
He's a step in the right direction. They've got to work out some offensive issues. They can't hit fastballs.
Yeah.
Like whatever. I don't know what it is. That team just cannot hit the straight ball. Like everybody is down this year. Everybody has been down.
Yeah.
On that team this year. And it's bonkers. And like obviously as a fan of an AL West team, I'm fine with it.
Right. You're thrilled.
Because they're not my team. Right? Like, just keep getting buried deeper and deeper and deeper, but then my team's got to win. So, like, there was a week stretch break where the Rangers and Mariners lost and won every day on the same day.
No movement in the standings. None.
Zero.
Except for the Astros.
Meanwhile, the Astros coming. Yeah.
Boy, they smell blood in the water, those Astros do. They just put a whooping on Baltimore.
I am, to quote the Blair Witch Project, I am so scared.
Dude, if they can do what they did to Baltimore, you should be scared.
Yeah, I'm terrified.
Yeah, okay. Jacob deGrom won't be back till August 1st. He threw a 15-pitch bullpen session last Monday. That's 7 days ago. I don't know what to say about Mad Max that you haven't already said. I think we just wait and see.
One guy in the starting rotation is not going to fix their problem, but it's certainly going to help with other problems that they've been having.
Right. And if they're not buyers, they're not serious. That's what I have to say.
It's a buyer's market this year. Everybody should be buying.
Boy,
but there's only so much to buy.
That's the problem.
There is going to be a team. You know what? The White Sox are going to have the best farm team come the end of the year.
The White Sox are going to be a farm team for the All-Star break.
They're pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to get too off this. Maybe I'll save it for Thursday about the White Sox. Never mind. We'll come back to it. Let's talk about the All-Star Game.
Baseball family, the All-Star Game caps are available, as we like to say. Brad, will you put up the graphic for me?
Jonah?
We've got 2 variations for the game caps.
First will be flavors.
The flavors. Why don't you describe the National League flavor there, Brad?
Okay, the National League, they've kind of got that. What is that? That's not an electric blue. That's kind of like, it's not Tiffany blue either. It's like a light blue.
No, I don't know what to call it. Baby?
It's kind of a lightish blue. There's a little too much there for it to be baby. Maybe a powder blue. But anyway,
the crown, what that is.
The crown itself is blue. The front panel, where it might normally be white, is actually navy blue, and then they've got those blue and then like a coral stripe going across the front with a star, and then a white team logo in the front. Here, if you're watching, you can see we have the Phillies and the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got the same blue visor. I like that color blue a lot. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I like that National League scheme. Why don't you tell us about the American League there, Brig?
Well, the American League scheme is superior, as is the American League. So we've got what? Shots fired. We've got a coral sort of pink color. It looks peach online. Some have described it as salmon. I can see both of those. UniWatch calls it coral. They're kind of the authority.
I would call it coral as well, to be honest with you. I have several coral ties, and that matches my tie.
Yeah. So we've got a coral color scheme visor in the back 4 panels. And then the front 2 panels are kind of a cream khaki color, and then the stripes across behind.
They're inverted from what they are on the National League hat, because the National League has a blue on top with the coral on bottom. American League has coral on top with the blue on bottom.
That's right. So anyway, that's what we're looking at in the American League. And then
I don't love that they went blue and coral on the American League logos and white and blue on the National League logos. They should have made those white.
No, I disagree. I think they should have made the National League caps blue logos.
You think so?
Yes, because what I'm seeing on the American League side is an auto purchase. I will be buying one at the earliest possible convenience. It will say New York Yankees on it, but that's it. Otherwise, it's absolutely flawless. And I cannot stop from thinking about it. I've been daydreaming about it since I saw them. I even went into my local hat shop. We call them lids here, and was desperate to get my hands on one the day they came out. I went out of my way to buy one, and they didn't have them in stock. I continue to be sad, though I did walk away with a new cap. I'm wearing it tonight. It is spectacular. So basically, it's a win-win either way. Anyway, baseball family, those are the game caps that will be worn during the All-Star Game. We do not know what the All-Star Game uniforms were going to be like yet. I'm assuming they will riff off this same color scheme. Now, off to the right-hand side, if you're watching on YouTube, we have teams. We've got the Diamondbacks, the Braves, and the Royals. And what we have are the warm-up caps, or these will also, I think, be used during the Home Run Derby, and they are team-specific. They've got the team's main color schemes featured, so they'll be black or navy, or in the Royals case, they'll be royal blue. There's a powdered blue line. They all have the same basic design, just in different color sets, colorways. So What do you think of the warm-up caps, Brad? Is that something
I love those.
Grab? Yeah,
I love the warm-up hats. Yeah, I like the National League color scheme better, just because, like, my problem with the logo on the American League one is the logo feels a little washed out because it's a lot of the blue and coral together against blue and coral, but the logo pops more with the white and blue against the blue.
Oh, you're talking about the game caps.
Blue.
Oh, I thought you were talking
about. So I just kind of went right to left across the screen.
Oh,
there.
I see.
So the game caps I love. Like the Mariners one looks super sharp. I love it. But as far as the game caps go, like I prefer the National League one because the white logo pops against the navy blue, and I feel like the logo would have popped better if it was the white instead of the blue on
the American League ones,
American League side.
Ones.
Yeah, because like I said, I feel like the blue and the coral just kind of gets lost in the rest of the color there. And there's no depth to the logo. It feels like, I don't know, it's just kind of a mush of color in one spot. And that's why
I can see what you're saying.
A big fan.
All right. Okay.
That's what loses me with it.
So each of the caps will feature the same Texas All-Star Game logo. It's the Texas silhouette of the state of Texas. Major League Baseball's logo is in there. Some ribbons going across the state silhouette, etc. Pretty standard stuff, just stitched differently depending on the cap you're wearing.
Yeah, the American League one is like that light blue, but then the National League one is a navy blue. The patch is navy blue on the side, and it stands out. And it stands out. It pops against that blue, whereas the light blue against the coral is like, just, again, kind of a mush of color altogether. So I don't know
why, but it is really doing it for me, though. I see what you're saying.
Because the bright colors, Greg.
It's loud. Yeah, you're right. That is why.
You like the bright colors. All about the bright colors over there.
Yeah, that's true. Bright lights, big city, the whole shebang. Okay. Let's do the ump show. It's time for the ump show. We got a couple of things that have happened that I think are really interesting that we wanted to talk about. Let's just go in this order. The first thing that happened, this is incredibly controversial, and the entire world, the baseball world, is up in arms one way or the other, I feel like, about this. The Rockies walk it off on a pitch clock violation. Brad, will you roll the tape? We've got a bases loaded scenario. Bottom of the ninth, Washington 7, Colorado 7. Colorado's at the plate. Pitch clock violation. Go to first base. You get to come in.
Jake Cave scores. But I don't understand the controversy because if you look at the very beginning of the video, right there, boom, 0. He is still set. Like,
they gave him, if anything, a little extra.
He gave him quite a bit of grace there. I'm surprised that Hunter Wendelstedt didn't just like run out there immediately and get it. Like, he let him break and then pitch. And so it's like, it's an obvious pitch clock violation. He made the right call, and I'm sorry, but you should have been a little bit more aware of the situation. Your catcher should have been a little bit more aware of the situation to like, dude, come on, let's go. You got to pitch the ball, right?
Yeah.
Or call time. I don't know
what his time. That's what I was.
I don't know what his disengage situation was like at the time, but his catcher should have been helping him out there as well. So I feel like 2 brain farts there on the Nats. You're going to lose a game, and that's why the Nats lose games. Bad teams, games, crappy ways.
Check it out, right? Here's the thing. Roll the tape again. I wish we had a pause function. You'll see the bases are loaded bottom of the ninth. It's a 3-2 count, Brad. Watch this. Ball outside the zone. He's going to walk him anyway. You're either going to get a pitch clock violation to end the game on a walk-off, or you're going to walk in the winning runner anyway. So either way, Finnegan blew it.
Well, and to be fair,
I
had the same thought too, as far as him throwing a ball there. It's like, in his defense, maybe the umpire running out from behind home plate messed him up, and that's why he threw a ball. So we don't know necessarily if it would have been a ball had that pitch counted, because we don't know what would have happened. But either way, pitch clock violation, ball 4, game over. And now, the only other time I think we've seen this happen is during spring training. And people are like,
this won't happen this season. This is the first time in Major League Baseball history that a game has walked off on a pitch clock violation. Now, this guy, Finnegan, forget his first name suddenly, but he leads the league with 9 pitch clock violations this season. 9.
Finnegan.
Kyle, thank you. He leads the league That's a lot of pitch clock violations. If it was going to happen to anybody, it was going to happen to you. I'm not sad. All of you who are up in arms about this, I hate to break it to you, you're wrong. I know nobody wants to. I'm with you. I don't want to see games decided on a pitch clock violation. I don't want that either. But
you know how else? You know how else I don't want to see games decided? Borderline check swings, but it happens.
Exactly. Bingo.
That's baseball season. So
that's baseball season. Here we are. But so we agree with you, but also that's the rule. Okay. Next, Juan Soto was punched out on a denied timeout request. Here's another one that people are up in arms about. Here we go. Set, timeout, walks out of the box. He's like, nah, man. No, he's like, what are you doing? I call timeout. What do you do? He's like, I don't have to give you timeout. First of all, I don't owe you anything. I don't have to grant. I'm a Yankees fan. I don't have to grant you timeout. Second of all,
end of argument.
Right.
Yeah. I don't have to grant you timeout. It's not a guarantee when you put your hand up and call timeout. It's not a guarantee that you get time.
No.
Nope.
Now, here's the other thing I will say. And let me make this very clear. I'm a Yankees fan. I love Juan Soto. I think he's fantastic. He needs to be a Yankee for the rest of his career. Everybody wins. Everybody. Not even you people that hate the Yankees. Okay? Now listen. Not only does the umpire not owe you anything, but if I'm the umpire and you throw up your hand and then dip out of the box before the pitch has even reached the thing, I'm going to punch you out just to teach you a lesson, you crybaby. You entitled dweeb. Get in the box, do your job, play the game. That's what I'm saying. That was such a lowbrow, unprofessional thing to do that he deserves to be punched out. And go cry to Aaron Boone, who came out there and didn't defend him almost at all. He just stood in the way.
Yeah.
He just stood in the way. He was like, all right, get out of here. Get out of here.
You know what it was? It was entitlement. He was expecting star treatment, is what it was.
I just said that. He's an entitled dweeb. You knock it off. Yeah. You don't get to act like that. Especially if you're going to put on the pinstripes. You are expected to live a higher standard as a Yankee because we are better than everybody else. Yes, I said it. That's what goes on in the clubhouse, okay? You're expected to live a higher standard, and you are the face or one of the faces of the franchise right now. You do not get to hang out outside the box when the pitch is on its way and expect somebody to do you a favor. Shut up. Go sit down. If that was, I am mad. Okay. I'm so mad.
Love it so much. Edwin Diaz got ejected.
Yeah, he got ejected for sticky stuff.
Oh, man.
This is amazing. And I slowed the video way down so we could see it.
Okay, yeah. So
that's
here he is. He was coming in for the bottom of the ninth, and so his hand's all sorts of dark. And I understand you get rosin, sweat, and some dirt. It's going to look dirty, but
not like that.
That looked a little bit dark, like pine tar.
Yeah, that looked like you were doing auto repair and you got gunk all over your hands. You know what I mean? And you're like, that stuff's not coming off for a while.
You need that orange stuff.
The orange stuff. That's what I was just going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, you need that. No, yeah, absolutely right. And the guys on Foul Territory were talking about it. And even Eric Kratz was like, looks a little bit like how when guys would use spider tack, part of the ball leather would come off on their fingers.
Exactly. That's
so. And Diaz came out and he's like, I haven't done anything different. It's like, cool. Well, you didn't say it was just rosin. So have you been getting away with
anything different? I've been using spider tack the whole time.
Legit break. He did not. I was waiting for him. I watched the interview. I was waiting for him to be like, I just use rosin every time. That's all it was. That's what I use every time. It's just rosin. But he just said, I didn't do anything different. I use the same thing I always use. Like, so are you saying that whatever you've been using has gotten past checks and then suddenly it didn't?
That's what it sounds like.
Vic Carapazza. And the thing that I thought was funny, because I watched this live. This was Brig literally like I don't know. I guess I watched more of this game. I was kind of in and out, but I actually sat down and watched this part of the game because Diaz was coming in, and the umpires were just like, man, I'm kind of like, I don't want to toss you because of who you are in this high leverage situation, but you got to go, bro.
Yeah, baseball family, in case you missed it, they didn't even let him throw a pitch. This was before he entered the bottom of the ninth. Gameplay had yet to resume. Yeah. I say good for Major League Baseball. I don't often say that, but I say good for them this time. Good for the umpires.
Yeah, so he's like the 8th or 9th guy to be suspended. So he got suspended 10 games because that's the standard punishment, right? Like it came across everybody's news feed today like it was a big deal. Like, oh, Edwin Diaz suspended 10 games. Of course he was. That's the punishment for this. Everybody knows that.
Great.
But 3 of those guys have been Mets pitchers.
That's what I was just going to say. Ouch.
Something going. Do they need to like get new rosin bags? Do they need to check them for stuff in their bullpen? I don't know.
They might need to get something because Steve Cohen wants to win. I'm telling you that right now.
And you're not going to win with your best reliever missing 10 games. Although I will say they might not need him because the Mets have been scorching hot right now. So
it's true. All right, today in baseball history, June 25th, 1903, Boston Bean Eater pitcher Wiley Pyatt becomes the only pitcher in the 20th century and probably the last ever to pitch and lose 2 complete games in one day. The Bean Eaters lost to the St. Louis Cardinals 1-0 and then 5-3.
With that, baseball family, we'll be right back, and we're going to play some Panic or Patience for this month. Welcome back, baseball family. It is time for us to play Panic or Patience, so we're going to get into this right meow. But before we do, I want to remind you, of course, about Patreon. We've talked about Patreon a couple times today, but make sure you head over to patreon.com, search Baseball Together, or click the link down in the description. You can support the podcast that way. Okay, Panic or Patience, here we go. Let's start in the American League East because that's where we start for everything all the time.
It's where the world starts, Brad.
The sun comes up in the American League East. You're not wrong.
Yeah, I know it.
Okay. All right. So since we're playing Panic or Patience, we're going to be living in the bottom half of the standings.
Right.
Okay. So let's start the bottom of the American League East because why the heck not? So let's start with the Blue Jays. Okay. The Blue Jays are 35-42, 15.5 back out of the AL East. No chance, toilet pants. Wild card, they're 6.5 back. 2-8 in their last 10. They lost 6 in a row coming into Monday. Minus 50 run differential, and they are 18-27 against teams over 500. Are you having patience or are you panicking with the Blue Jays?
Sell the farm.
I think you're right.
Push the red button.
So are you saying like shut it down for the season, or are you saying like trade Vlad, trade Bo, trade Gosman? Are you tearing it down, starting over, or are you just going to shut it down for the season?
Just this season. Shut the season down.
Okay. All right. So you're not going to sell the farm then.
Be a sparring partner for the remainder of the season. See what happens. Get some stats.
Okay. All right. So I'm not saying panic or patience. What I am going to say, though, sell some.
Some.
Right.
No, don't sell everything, but sell.
Maybe sell Vlad. Maybe sell Bo. Maybe sell Gosman. Maybe 2 of the 3. Get yourself some prospects because you have some good prospects, as we know.
Yeah.
So I think the Blue Jays could make themselves really good in 2 years if they got some good prospects back.
Don't tank. Things are fine down below. They're just not up. They're down below.
Yeah. And the other thing too is I feel like Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero, they haven't had the best seasons this year. They could turn things around with the change of scenery because I think that's what they need at this point.
Dude, Vlad needs something.
Yeah. Okay, let's go up to the Tampa Bay Rays. Have not been great, have not been super bad. 38-40. 13 games back in the East, not going to happen. I think it's safe to say at this point. 4 games back in the wild card, though. They won 6 of the last 10. They won their last game. Minus 62 run differential, though, which is uncharacteristic, I feel like, for the Rays. But they're 11-21 against teams over 500. Panic or patience?
I don't care.
You don't care?
Neither.
Is it?
Nah. Write it out. Do what you got to do. Look to the next season.
Okay, so you're just calling it. You're calling it.
Yeah, indifferent.
See, I feel like if they went out and they were like, we're panicking a little bit because we're not where we should be. Guys are underperforming, but we go out and we trade some prospects for, say, another bat or another pitcher, get one or two pieces in there, then they could maybe at least play spoilers in the wild card, if not make it, because they're not far back. They're only 4 games back. They've been improving as the season has gone because they had a terrible start.
Not buying it. I don't have enough proof yet. I still don't have enough proof yet to trust him. So until I have more reasons to trust him, I don't care.
Okay. All right. So you're selling the season on that. Okay. We won't go to the Red Sox because they're sitting pretty. They're even in the wild card. So
those Red Sox, we're gonna have to talk about them on Thursday.
We will too because they are a good team. Okay. What about? Let's go to the AL Central. Let's talk about the Tigers because I feel like this is getting to be a little bit more of a buy or sell segment than a panic or patience. But
yeah, we could talk it that way.
Maybe we do both. So the Tigers are 36-41, 14.5 back in the division, only 5.5 back in the wild card, 4-6 in the last 10, -6 run differential, and 12-20 against teams over 500. Panic or patience, or buy or sell? Take a pick.
I'm not going to sell anything big. I think the situation is what it is in Detroit right now. I don't think a lot of things are going to change. I don't think a lot of things could change it. I think what we're going to see is they're going to live where they're living right now, but we want to build up for next year. If I'm Detroit, I'm targeting a playoff spot next season. So whatever it takes to get me to that spot is what I'm looking at. Now, I don't need to win the division, though it would be great. I'd take the first round wild card spot for next season and be fine with that. So I'm looking closely at the buyer's market, and I'm seeing what maybe I have to sell to pick up what I need for next year, or if I can get a slam dunk for next year already, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it early. I'm not gonna wait.
Yeah. So if I'm the Tigers, I'm just sitting content. This is guys have underachieved. Spencer Torkelson got sent back down, right? So at this point, I'm just kind of like, this team is not doing anything this year. We're not going to panic because we're not going to make any moves. We're just we are what we are, and this is who we're going to be, and this is who we probably thought we were going to be at the beginning of the season.
But there's more. It's just going to be next year, and I don't think it's farther away than that.
Right. Yeah, I think Brig, I've been saying for like 3 years I thought the Tigers were going to contend for the division. At this point, I'm like, what makes me think next year is going to be any better? I'm like,
Skewball.
Sending them off. Maybe they trade him.
They could. Boy, I know a lot of teams would eat him up.
Yeah, that dude would get a haul.
That dude would get a haul. Yeah.
Yep.
And boy, that guy deserves to play in the biggest stage, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he could win the Cy Young this year. So, okay. Let's go to the American League now, or the American League West. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Okay. We're actually going to go to the top 3 here instead of the bottom 2.
Right.
Because the bottom 2 don't make much of a difference. But the top 3 separated by 6.5 games, but it feels a whole lot closer than that because the Mariners just lost. They blew a 2-run lead in the 9th inning and lost.
Okay.
I want to know what you think about the Mariners. At this very moment, they are 45-36. I want to say they're 5-6. I think they're still 5-5 in their last 10. They lost 2 in a row now. A plus 16 run differential and a 14-19 against teams over 500. Are you having patience, or are you panicking with the Mariners?
A little bit of both, and I'm buying.
Absolutely buy. I'm not panicking, but I'm having anxiety.
Yeah, I'm jittery.
And I don't know if it's because I'm a Mariners fan or if it's just like that's like a legitimate way to address it.
No, you're jittery for sure.
Yeah.
So I got some massive angst if I'm a Mariners fan.
Man, so like they brought in. So I don't love the 4 save out. The fact that I said earlier in the show that I think that Max Scherzer could be a 6 out closer.
Yeah,
is partially because he is so dominant for
because
5,
it's
6,
Max.
7 innings. Right?
Yeah.
Andres Munoz has come in and tried to get more 4-out saves this year than he has ever tried the rest of his career because the middle part of the bullpen has not been that great. He came in and had 2 guys on. It's like he had runners on second and third of the 1-run lead. And it's like, what's he supposed to do? You know? And that's kind of how it's been. And so I don't trust the bullpen. The pitching has been good. Like the starting pitching has been good. But with everything that it was hyped up to be this year is like knockdown, lights out. Like they have their moments and they have their stretches. But overall, if you're playing a good team, I haven't really seen it consistently. Like Kirby, Gilbert, for the most part, have been really good. Luis Castillo has one bad inning every outing. It depends on if he gets any run support, which doesn't typically happen because he's a strikeout guy. Bryce Miller has not been the Bryce Miller of last year, especially on the road. He's really good at home, but he's terrible on the road. And Brian Wu left the game tonight with an injury, and he's missed a couple starts because of elbow pain. Clean MRI, but elbow pain. Like, it's like, okay, the Mariners' offense has been terrible. You can easily trade some prospects and bring in a proven bat. Okay, that solves one problem.
You got to do that's step one.
Absolutely, because if they can score some runs, they solve a lot of problems.
It'll solve some problems.
Yeah. But then you've got a question mark as a 5th starter, because then the next guy you bring in, Emerson Hancock, he's been injured, back injury, shoulder injury, like that's not dependable. So now you've got a question mark at your 5th spot, a 4th starter who does really well at home, can't pitch on the road. There are a lot of problems with this team. They are just mounting every single day. And it's for a little while, it was like, okay, it's drizzling, starting to rain a little bit harder. It's starting to feel a little bit more like a downpour as problems start to mount, where the pitching is not the lights out performance that you've been expecting, especially the bullpen. 5.5 games does not feel like a lot right now.
No, but I also think you're projecting. I think this is your long memory speaking. I don't think it's as bad as you think it is. I think, not to discount what you're saying, I just think that Mariners fans are pretty quick to panic because that's all you've known, to be fair. So you're like, the sky's falling. And I think it is raining. But I think that with a good bat and some consistent leadership in the clubhouse and some, you got to shake up the bullpen somehow. I think you guys are fine, honestly.
That's a lot of moves, though.
It is. You got to have to.
And so this is the other thing is they have 2 stud pitchers down in the minor leagues who they've moved to the bullpen, and they're like really getting them going on the bullpen side. But it's like, just bring them up, man. Like I can think of 3 guys off the top of my head on the big league roster who shouldn't be there as far as the bullpen goes.
Right. There you go.
Let's replace 2 of them with minor leaguers who have been dealing. So,
and I don't know, this is the time of year to do that. Up and down, 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 up and down. Do it.
They've been doing it with injuries, though, is the problem.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm having anxiety as a Mariners fan, but I think I just always have anxiety as a Mariners fan. Okay, let's move on to Houston. 38-40, 5.5 back as of this moment, 4 back in the wild card, 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 5 in a row. Plus 21 run differential, 13-22 against teams over 500. What are you doing with the Astros? Panic of patience, buy or sell?
I'm buying. This is anxiety-driven decision-making. I'm going to take all of the details I've learned over a really, really poor start and a graduated middle stretch that we're going through right now, which is a tremendous uptick. And between those 2 data sets, you ought to be able to figure out what the real problem is. It only ought to be 1 or 2 buckets, and you change out 1 or 2 buckets, and I think you're contending.
The problem Houston has is a terrible farm system.
Yeah,
it's been gutted over the years.
Yeah, for sure.
So they don't have anything to buy with. Is the problem that they have
right
now. The fact that they have guys who are performing at the level they were expected, and now they're winning, like that, I think is it. So I think as like with the Astros, I would fully have patience. Like you've reached a point where it's like, okay, either this is the year we fall off and performance drops and we are no longer the dominant team in the AL West, or guys perform as expected and we make a run and we end up winning the division because Seattle feels a little unstable. So I'm Houston, I'm playing with so much house money at this point. I'm having patience the entire way, having patience all season long.
Totally reasonable.
If the fecal matter hits the whirling device and I reach a point in July where like everything has fallen off and now you're 13 games back in the division, the wild card feels out of reach, then you start selling guys off.
Pitch it, yeah. Because it was supposed to be this year. This year was like, okay, we're going to see what happens, and it could be real bad. Yeah, and it hasn't been.
Okay, let's move on to the Rangers, 37-40. They're half a game back of the Astros, 4.5 back in the wild card, 5-5 in the last 10, but they've won their last 4. -2 run differential, 11-16 against teams over 500. Panic or patience?
Panic. I'm still panic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with how well Houston has been doing. That's a big part of why I'm panicking.
Well, so Houston, they jumped him in the standings, right? Like it was just like Houston kept winning, Texas kept losing, and then shoop right over the top.
Yep.
Half a game between Houston and Texas feels a lot bigger than it should.
And this is not a situation, this is going to sound ridiculous, but this is not a situation where you can sit around and wait to see what Houston's going to do. You got to do you, and you got to do it now. And you have till the deadline to figure it out.
They have some guys coming back from injury, but overall, though, I feel like Texas needs to make a move sooner than later, or they're going to find themselves out of reach before they know what happened.
And they're going to find themselves out of a barrel to fish out of. Because, like you said, there are only so many pieces up for buying this time. The shelf will get empty fast.
Gonna be buying. Yeah. It's a competitive league this year. It's crazy. Okay, over to the National League. Let's go with the Braves. This is a fascinating case study, Brig. They're 11 games over 500. They're 43-32, 7 back in the division, 5.5 up on the wild card. Okay, now this is crazy. They are 8-2 in their last 10. Okay, plus 50 run differential.
2 of those were in the Bronx. 2 of those 8 were in the Bronx.
Yeah. But they've got so many issues.
I know.
Have we reached the point of patience with the Braves, or are we still panicking a little bit because we got some holes to fill, and this is just a good stretch of baseball? Any team can have a good stretch of baseball.
I know. I'm confused because I think before I saw them play the Yankees, I would have said, okay, good stretch. No, whatever. It's fine. But the way they played the Yankees, I was like, ugh. Now, I do think it's a matter of 2 currents meeting. One is a good Braves stretch, and one is a bad Yankees little skid they're going on. So it's really hard to judge. Even in those 3 games, I'm like not 100% sure what I would say and what this means for the Atlanta. But I think you're at this point, you have to take heart in what you've seen. If you're in the clubhouse, you got to say, look, we're not that bad. This isn't as bad as we thought. And then if the front office can give you a couple of extra little bumps, you're good. I don't think they need to fill too many spots, but they got to fill a couple for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I would have patience as if I'm the Braves, but you still got to buy because you got holes to fill. Just a couple, but you got to fill them.
Not a lot.
Okay. This isn't contenders or pretenders, but I'm not sold on the Nats, so we're going to skip over them. We're going to jump down to the New York Mets. 37-39. They're a game back in the wild card. 8-2 in their last 10, Brig. Red stinking hot.
Yeah.
15-12 against teams over 500. They're -1 run differential, by the way. They've made up some ground there. Panic or patience?
Panic. I don't care how hot they are right now. I'm not buying it. Panic.
So I was thinking about this today. How angry are you as Max Scherzer that you forced your way out of New York because you were told the Mets were not going to make a run this year? And now you're on a team that is falling in the standings with a former team that is rising in the standings. Only a game back in the wild card is a legitimate shot at making a couple moves and a couple guys performing at their regular level, getting in the hunt of a wild card. How angry are you if you're Max Scherzer right now?
I'm not buying it. Even if I'm Max, I'm not buying it. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, you're not buying it?
No. No, they're going to Met the bed again this season, and it's going to be sad, and I don't want that to happen. I am not a fan of the Mets Metting the bed, but it's going to happen again.
But it happens.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hate to tell you. I'm not buying it. I don't see it. And they have to compete with the likes of Philadelphia. No, they can't compete.
Well, they're not going to contend for the division. They got to contend.
No. I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about who stacks up in the playoff picture in the National League, you can't compete at the same level as Philly.
They're a completely different time zone.
It's not even possible.
Figuratively, not literally. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Central. Okay, the Central is a fascinating division. We could do every one of these teams. Yeah. Let's start with the Reds. 36-41, 8.5 back in the division, 2.5 back in the wild card, 4-6 in their last 10. They've lost back-to-back games. Plus 9 run differential though. 15-25 against teams over 500. What are you doing if you're the Reds?
Panicking. I'm panicking, and I'm looking to see, is it even possible to fill the holes we need to fill? But I'm not going to sell everything. If I can't buy to get the things I need, then I'm just going to hold steady and see what happens. And if it doesn't happen,
that's what I was going to say. If the market is not right for me, this isn't my year. This isn't my year. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yep. If the perfect deal does not come along for the Reds, they shouldn't make it because they have a really bright couple years coming up. And I think that they need to take advantage of that and really ride that. Then there are just some years where it's like you just got to accept that it's not yours. So I'm curious how long Jonathan India's got like tons of control left.
Tons. It's like 4 or 5 years, right?
2027 is when he'll be a free agent. So he's got like 3 years left.
Okay, 3.
So like they if they really wanted to, because they've been shopping him for like a year, they could be like, give us a bunch of prospects for India, or give us a couple of impact, give us a couple of pitchers for India, like, and then they would be. I feel like they'd be right back in it.
Totally, certainly by next season.
But if the deal they want isn't there, they don't have to take it.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, let's talk about the Cubs. 37-41, 8 games back in the division, 2 back in the wild card, 4-6 in the last 10. They lost yesterday. Minus 20 run differential, 13-20 against teams over 500.
This is a tough one. This is a tough one for me.
It is.
I feel like based on what's on paper, you'd panic. But I don't feel like you need to panic if you're the Cubbies.
Right. I think, too much talent on that team to panic.
It's just not. There's nothing is bad. Things just aren't falling right. And it has a lot to do with other teams in the division, not the teams you're playing directly against. I don't know. I have a hard time pulling the fire alarm if I'm the Cubs. I don't think you can.
I will say I would be a little bit worried about Imanaga because he got shelled the second time the Mets saw him. So I'm curious if that's going to be a trend. The teams that have seen him are going to have him figured out. Because he was lights out, like absolute nails the first time through. And now he's seen the Mets twice and they shelled him. And I think that there's a lot of tape on him. And some teams may have something that they can take to bat against him. So I'd be a little bit worried about that. But that's just like that's a tweak, an individual tweak.
It's a developmental
but everything else,
problem.
I feel like I'm being so patient with this team because it's a good team. They've got a lot of talent. You just got to make sure the guys are playing up to their expected level.
That's right.
There's enough time left for that to happen, especially sitting 2 games back in the wild card. No problem.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried.
No problem.
No.
We'll save the Pirates and the Cards for Thursday. Let's move on to the NL West.
Okay.
How about the Giants? The San Francisco Giants are 36-42, 11.5 back in the division, 3 back in the wild card, 3-7 in the last 10. They've lost 5 in a row, minus 34 run differential, 8-21 against teams over 500. Panic or patience?
Panic. I can't believe they lost the Rickwood Field game.
No, yeah, dude. Should not have. If I'm the Giants, I'm looking at which of my impact players can return or who can return the biggest impact on my team.
for next season.
For next season?
No.
Don't we three back in the wild card?
Who can I get rid of? You think it's for You think it's for this season?
I would be looking for an impact player this year. You're only 3 games back. 3-7 is a bad stretch. And I know they had a bad stretch early, but they had a really good stretch. So I'm not entirely sure who the Giants are. But at this point, though, 3 games back in the wild card, you still got to go for it. But you've got to hit the panic button, make a move now, so you don't continue to fall.
Okay. All right, I'll give you that. I don't know, though. I'm not. I don't have any confidence in San Francisco. Just don't.
I don't
Not
either.
against what the rest of the league is doing.
I didn't have any confidence at the beginning of the season, but I think if they make the right move, they can make it happen.
Yeah, but they made the right move 4 times this offseason. So
did they though?
That's what we thought they did.
Okay, last one. Let's do the Diamondbacks. Okay. 38 and 40, 9.5 back in the division, 1 back in the wild card, 6-4 in the last 10. Lost 2 in a row. They lost back-to-back games. -4 run differential, 13 and 21 against teams over 500. Are you having patience, or are you panicking with the Diamondbacks?
Patience.
100%.
Just be easy.
Yep. And that's what we've been saying for 2 months now, right?
Yeah.
That this is the team that got you to the World Series. You've added a couple pieces that should be contributing and have not been great, but things are coming around. Corbin Carroll is coming around. This Diamondbacks team could be dangerous over the next couple months. So, yeah, I'm absolutely having patience with the Diamondbacks.
Be easy.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a fun game, baseball family.
It is fun.
Tell us what you think. You? Are you totally offended at the things that we said about you and yours? We understand. We get that. I came up swinging at my team earlier, so don't. It's fine. It's totally okay.
I'm having legitimate anxiety, Brig, with the Mariners.
Yeah, of course you are.
But like
anyway,
I said,
baseball family, drop it in the doobly-doo. Get in the description. Tell us what you think. Not in the description, in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Did we totally fly left here, or are we flying straight onto the sunrise? Because that's the sunrise is in the Bronx. Everybody knows that. So we want to hear from you, though. You can reach out to us. We've got baseballtogether.com is a great way to reach out to us. We've got an email address that you can jump into. You can leave us a voicemail if you want to.
Email address, real quick, is baseballtogetherpod@gmail.com. You can send that directly to us.
Bingo, bango.
So
also, if you keep your comments age appropriate, audience appropriate, we're a family friendly show, then we might give you a shout out on the show, and that would be great to have that discussion. But if you want to just keep it in the comment section, that's fine. We can do that too. We do that all day, every day. So last thing I want to say before we close this out is, if you notice, we got a big old banner down there on the bottom for ChinookSeedery.com. We love them. It came up in Instagram today. One of my good friends has never had Chinook seeds. It's my fault. Timmy, I'm sorry. Don't worry. I got you. Everything's going to be fine. For the rest of you, 10% off, code BTPOD at checkout at ChinookSeedery.com. Their logo, huge seeds, huge flavor, huge smiles. It's like their thing. It's my thing too. I'm on a road trip right now. I was eating sunflower seeds the whole way. Totally Chinook the whole way. Totally Parm and Pep. Best seeds, best flavor. My smiles. You see what I'm saying?
I went through lemon pepper today like a buzzsaw. They were so good.
Yeah, I killed the big bag, like the big fat bag on my drive yesterday. Just murdered.
Nice.
It was
Love
not
it.
even.
Love
it
it.
was unpleasant.
But baseball family, thank you so much for joining us. We will catch you Thursday night.